Yo, what's up? Do you like music? I like music too. Let's talk about it. Grab your favorite pair of headphones and let's listen to this. For today's Headphone Hideaway, I want to talk about the legendary, classic, timeless release from the one and only At the Drive-In, Relationship of Command. So when this album came out in the year 2000, I was probably like 15 or 16 years old, typical mall rat, nu metal kid, loved Slipknot, loved Korn, loved Limp Bizkit, all that stuff. You know, growing up, my dad was into Iron Maiden and Metallica and Megadeth, and I loved all that stuff. But, you know, also, you're a teenager, you find your own identity, you listen to the dumb shit that all your friends are listening to, and I love those bands. And the other thing about that time period, though, was that, like, I was really getting into, like, the nerdy behind the scenes things with music. Anytime I would have a CD, I would read through the liner notes. I loved seeing who bands would thank and read all of the little like tidbits that would be in there. And over time, I started to notice that there were a lot of similar names on a lot of the albums that I was listening to. One of those names being a man by the name of Ross Robinson. At that time, Ross Robinson was somebody who, in my eyes, could probably do no wrong. He produced albums such as Korn, Life is Peachy, Glassjaw, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence, Iowa by Slipknot, and plenty more. Another person whose name I remember seeing around a lot at that time was a man by the name of Andy Wallace, who was really known for mixing. He mixed a ton of fucking albums. You've probably heard his work on albums such as Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park, Evil Empire by Rage Against the Machine, the best Faith No More album ever, King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. I will die on the hill that this is the best Faith No More album. I know Faith No More fans like to get a little bit, whatever. We all like the same shit. Anyways, Ross Robinson, Andy Wallace. These are two people whose names I was very familiar with at the time. But regardless, I had no idea that they did this fucking album together. Yes, At the Drive-In's Relationship of Command was produced by Ross Robinson and mixed by Andy fucking Wallace. I had no idea at the time. Again, I was a nu metal mall rat kid. And to be fair, I had friends that were listening to this and I just didn't have any interest in it. I just could not give a fuck less. I never even thought once to look and see who the fuck did the album because it just, why would a band like At the Drive-In have an album that was produced by the Korn and Slipknot guy and mixed by the fucking Rage Against the Machine Linkin Park guy? You know, like, why? How? I never thought about it and I didn't realize it until years later when I'd finally, you know, sat down with this record after becoming a Mars Volta fan, which we'll get into. I don't feel as though I need to get into a crazy backstory about the history of At the Drive-In. I don't know if I really have the time. They broke up not even a year after this album came out because, you know, they were just exhausted. I think that they had pretty much probably been touring and recording for like 6 years nonstop. And, you know, they were just exhausted. And I think a couple of them had some drug issues and, you know, typical rock and roll shit. It happens. But after this band split up, we ended up getting two bands that went on to do some pretty big things. One being the Mars Volta, who I mentioned earlier, and then Sparta. I never really gave a fuck about Sparta. Just going to throw that out there. But I fucking love the Mars Volta. And that's funny how everything came around for me because, you know, when this came out, I had no particular interest in it just because I just wasn't in this headspace at the time. I was just looking for more extreme, fast, technical metal. But then eventually I got burned out on the metal stuff. And when Mars Volta released their first full length, Deloused in the Comatorium, which I actually do, I have a copy over there that I could hold up. Yeah, this is a lot easier than doing a Google search for the image. When this album came out, the Mars Voltas, the Loust, and the Comatorium, I was very much in a position where I was looking for something new, something challenging. I had been burned out. My eardrums were tired of all the crazy metal. I wanted to hear something different, something fresh, something unlike anything I had ever heard before. And my friend was like, yo, you should check out that Mars Volta album. It was from the At the Drive-In guys. And I was like, At the Drive-In, I never really liked that band, but my friend who suggested this to me, shout outs to my boy Mario. If you're watching, you're the dude. He had told me that I should pick this up. So I went to the store and they had this. Yes, Ides Entertainment had this album just, for sale when it came out. I kind of lucked out because now this is like a fucking $300-$400 record if you want to buy it on the secondary market for some goddamn reason. But I bought this, pretty much right when it came out, completely blind. I had never heard it. I was just going off a recommendation of my friend and I put it on, and I don't want to be dramatic or anything, but it probably changed my life. This is undoubtedly one of the most influential albums I've ever fucking heard. And maybe this video should be more about this album rather than this album, but it all leads back to here. So after listening to this album and loving it so much, I was like, fuck, I have to go back and listen to At the Drive-In because, like, what was I missing? What happened? And I'll tell you what, from the second that I put this album on, after, my eardrums and my palate had changed and developed, there was no question. I was like, holy shit, I'm a goddamn moron. How was I not fucking obsessed with this album when I was younger? But, tastes change. It's one of those things, and I thought it was so cool to be able to go back, find this album, be in love with it, and then, dig into the nerdy details, realize it was produced by Ross Robinson, mixed by Andy Wallace, two people that are responsible for some of my favorite albums of all time, and just being like, well, duh, of course, this all makes sense. It really blew my mind open. And from this point forward, in my life, because this would have been what, 2003 or 4, probably, whenever Deloused came out. So that would have been around the time that I listened to this for the first time. And from that point forward, I never wrote anything off. Anytime something was coming across my plate that somebody recommended to me, I'm always looking into like what the backstory of it is and giving it a fair chance and knowing that, even though it may not be my thing now, it could be my thing tomorrow because, our musical palettes and tastes in music can change and be shifted so dramatically in such a short amount of time. I distinctly remember the moment like listening to this album. I was working at Taco Bell at the time and I was on bathroom cleaning duty and we could wear our headphones when we were cleaning the bathroom. And I remember whenever I was listening to this album, for better or worse, really deep diving for the first time during my bathroom cleaning shift at a Taco Bell. So there is kind of a funny thing where I can't listen to this album without thinking about cleaning the Taco Bell bathroom. But it's a memory that, while it's kind of fucking weird, I do reasonably cherish it. I'm one of these people that tends to attach a lot of memories to music and to film and to other experiences in my life. So I feel like I would be remiss if I did not mention that in regards to this album as completely unnecessary of an informational tidbit that is. I just thought you might want to know. And yeah, so this album's 20 years old now. I feel like most people that are into this style of music or something that's adjacent to it are familiar with this. They've heard it. They have experience with it. But for those of you out there that maybe have never listened to this, especially those of you that may also be fans of Ross Robinson's work or Andy Wallace's work, if you've never listened to this, you should definitely check it out. I think that it's an insane album. I think it's a goddamn shame that, the band broke up only a year after they had put it out, but plenty of good music came as a result. And for those of you that don't know, At the Drive-In did get back together and they did put out a fantastic record just a few years ago. The name I can't pronounce, but I have it over there, so I'm also going to save myself another Google search. Inter alia, I believe. Inter alia. I don't know how to fucking pronounce this. I'm an idiot. But this album's really good. It came out in 2017. They put this one out. So just a few years ago. It's really good. And I guess they're maybe back on a hiatus. I don't know. Those fucking motherfuckers do whatever they want whenever they want. All I know is that, regardless of what project it is, they do consistently put out good music. So I'm looking forward to whatever is next, whether it be another At the Drive-In record or a Mars Volta album or some, sporadic weird side project. Who the fuck knows? If you haven't listened to this or any of these other fucking albums that I brought up today, which, it's been quite a lot of albums. The threads of my life. I feel like we're looking at my DNA chart to some degree right now, to be completely honest with you. That's funny. Anyways, if you haven't listened to this album, give it a listen. I think you'll like it. If you don't like it, that's okay. I still like you because people are nice and you're a good person. Keep on kicking ass. Keep on doing well. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. I'll see you next time. Peace.